Hey, I'm back continuing my reviews on the Nightmare on Elm Street series with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child came out in 1989. It was directed by Stephen Hopkins. She's done a lot of movies. I can't think of any offhand. I'm not up on what everybody director has done or whatever. Just on the movies that I like. Yeah, I know he's a pretty capable director. Does a pretty good job with this movie for the most part. This movie is pretty hated among Nightmare on Elm Street fans. Yeah, this one's got Robert Englund coming back as Freddy Krueger. Lisa Wilcox is the actor that plays Alice in this one. It's got the character of Dan from the fourth one coming back, played by Danny Hassel. And yeah, this one centers more around Amanda Kruger's character. I mean, it centers around Alice. She's the main character, but Amanda Kruger is a nun that is Freddy's mother. And basically, she got put in this asylum years ago, and it centers around that story basically, that Amanda Kruger got put into this asylum years ago. She was in there visiting the inmates in there, and somehow or other she got trapped in there over the weekend and was raped by all these crazy people. So that makes it to where they say that Freddy Krueger's the bastard son of 100 maniacs. They got different origins. I mean, this one tells you that Amanda Krueger was raped and that's how he was conceived. They never really gone into it other than that, about where Freddy came from. As far as I knew, he was just a regular guy, but they never said how he was, born or anything up until now. This one, in my opinion, is all right. It's got Wes Craven. It says he's credited as a writer on this. That's just hard to believe, in my opinion, that he would write this story, because it's not up to par with the first four, I think. Like I said in previous review, this one's more gothy and a little darker, which I like about that. I like that about this movie, that it is a little darker. They tried to go back to being a little darker. The settings in this, like when they go to the asylum and stuff in the middle of the night, that's pretty cool. It's pretty creepy looking. Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. It's as far as the entry of the series goes, but yeah, like I said, it just doesn't stand up next to the other ones. But basically, it follows this character Alice again. She thought she killed Freddy in the fourth one. Obviously he comes back. The end of the fourth one, every time somebody dies, one of her friends or her brother or anybody dies, she inherits like whatever their power is. Like her brother was really good at martial arts, so she inherited like the ability to be really good at martial arts. Her friend that was like the geeky scientist type, she inherited like her smarts. So Alice is pretty powerful character, in my opinion, because she's inherited all these powers from these people, and it's all into one person. So, oops, sorry, my camera fell over. So she's a pretty powerful character, in my opinion. She really should have no problem taking Freddy down. But this one basically centers on the fact that the character Dan from the last one, basically in the beginning of this one, he comes back in this movie, but in the beginning of this one, it shows them like, doesn't show them having sex, but you can tell like they're in the shower together. The whole movie starts off with like them two in the shower. And you can kind of get the idea of what they're doing, but basically she ends up getting pregnant, and Freddy comes back through like invading her unborn child's dreams. And so like when the baby's, because think about it, when a baby's in the womb, does the most time when it's sitting in there, it's mostly sleeping. So it makes Freddy to be able to make her feel like she's in the dream state all the time because her kid's sleeping. So he uses her to get the kid to get to her. Of course, this freaks her out. There's one scene in here where she goes to the doctor's, and the doctor's checking her stomach out, doing like an ultrasound on her belly and checking on the baby. And it shows like Freddy inside of her belly, and he's like messing with the baby. And I forget what the line is that he says, but I don't know. I always thought that scene was done pretty well, kind of creepy to think about somebody in there messing around with your unborn kid. That's kind of weird. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, like I said, this one centers around her unborn baby basically, and she's trying to figure out like the backstory on Freddy, trying to figure out how to kill him. She ends up figuring out that his mother, Amanda Krueger, was like her ghost is trapped in this asylum still. So in order to figure out how to kill him, she needs to like set him free, or set her free, her soul free, because basically she's the only one that can really stop him, I guess, is what they're saying in this movie. Yeah, it shows them all graduating from high school in the beginning of this movie. Her and her friend. Now there's a scene in here where she's got a friend that likes to draw comics, and I believe his name is Mark. And so he's like in Alice's room, and she's dreaming or whatever, and apparently he falls asleep, but he's writing this comic out, and he gets sucked into a nightmare, and it's like a comic book nightmare, and like he's in there and he's trying to get away from Freddy, and he turns into like this badass guy who with guns and shit, and he's shooting them, and it's pretty cheesy effects. You can see like the popcorn coming out of him, to like look like it's supposed to be blood, but you can tell it's like the packing that you put in like a package when you send somewhere. It's like spraying out of him. It looks totally fake, but so like he's shooting him and shit, and Freddy falls down, and then he gets back up and he's like, "It's Super Freddy," and you can tell it's a different actor playing him, and but the effect and the way that Freddy looked, I thought was kind of cool. He starts shooting him, and the bullets are flying off of him and shit, and and then Freddy like, he gets him with his claws, and like rips him apart like a piece of cardboard, and I thought that scene was done pretty well. Yeah, as far as the other ones go, it doesn't really stand up well to the other ones. Like I said, I don't mind it. It's got a darker thing on it. It's more gothic feeling. I don't really mind it. But yeah, a lot of people didn't like this movie when it came out. A lot of people still don't like this movie. But yeah, this version of the movie I got, like I was saying before, it's a bare bones one. Basically, it's got the widescreen, full screen version on here. Jump to a nightmare scene navigation. Nothing too special. Yeah, Freddy basically, he's trying to get through Alice through this kid that she's got in her belly, unborn child, whatever. And basically Alice she has this dream where she's in a hospital or somewhere, and she sees her unborn kid come back as like I don't know, he's probably only like 7 or 8 years old, And he shows up and he's like, why don't you want me or whatever? And she's like, well, what do you mean? And he doesn't flat out come out and tell her that it's her kid until like the end, but you kind of figure it out. Um, and Freddy's basically using this kid. He wants to turn him into like another Freddy, like a Freddy Jr. It's kind of weird. Um, the story is kind of silly, but yeah, the kid ends up using the powers that Freddy gives him against him at the end, and of course sides with the mother, and Amanda Kruger ends up coming back, killing him, and it's basically the end of the movie. It's kind of silly. There's a lot of good scenes in this movie, though. One good scene I liked was where one of her Alice's friends there, she likes to go to the high school or the college or wherever the hell she's going to use the local swimming pool, and she goes there and does like diving and stuff. She goes and dives. She fell asleep in like a whirlpool, like a sauna or a spa, a hot tub, I guess is the word I was looking for. Um, she falls asleep in there, and then she shows her she's like diving off a diving board, and Freddy's like turned like the rails like into part of his claw or something, and she falls into the pool, and then she like wakes up and she's in his boiler room, and I always liked the scene where Freddy's after her in this boiler room, and she's like in this room, and it's like there's a bunch of water in there and stuff, and he comes out and he sits up in the water and he's spitting out this water out of his mouth, and he's like, "Where are you going, piglet?" There's just a lot of funny scenes in this movie where you just appreciate Robert Englund's the way he does Freddy. I like that. But yeah, really not much more to say about this one. Like I said, if you've never seen it and you're a fan of the series, if you're a fan of the series, you had to have seen it. But if you're not, then and you've never seen it, definitely I would recommend it. I mean, if you like these movies, I would recommend it. If you don't, then probably not for you. But I like it. It's okay. Like I said, it's not definitely not the best in the series. It's definitely started falling off the cliff with this one, but it's all right. So my next review will be on Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. So that'll be the next one I'll be reviewing, and that's all I got to say about this one, and I'll talk to you soon.